We'll call the meeting DPW to order. First order of business is the motion to accept the minutes from the January 26th meeting.
I'll move it.
All right, moved by Matt, seconded by Cassie. All in favor?
Aye.
Second, or opposed? Okay. Joe, I see you're on?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
The first thing I need to do is a budget amendment to recognize 2020 revenues that we received from the town of Kingsbury and have those applied to 2020 revenues, and then move those revenues into 8120 repair and maintenance line.
Okay.
Move it.
Ryan moves it. There's a second. Cassie seconds. Daryl seconds. Any discussion on it? All those in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
Next thing is to just let you know that timing wise, I didn't cover it last month, but as part of that project that Wendell did a presentation for, the GI Green Innovative Grant Program, as well as the one that we did talk about last month, came open, and Wendell did apply for some GIGP monies for that grant program, using some of the work that we're doing in the project. It could be up to almost $1 million. I think it's $900 and something thousand potential grant award for that. So it was well worth the application efforts. Part of their scope of work was to look for incentives and grants and things like that. So it all falls under that project. And I'm just, letting you know that there's another grant application out there.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this for Joe? Seeing none, Joe, go ahead.
And that's all I've got for you this month.
Jeez, that was easy.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Deb, you got lots of time now.
Oh, yay. I'll need it. So good morning, everyone. The first thing that we have today is we put out a mini bid for a van for carpool. It's actually for the NUCO, and we need to award that. The low bid was from Metro Ford Sales for $39,301.96.
Okay, is there
And we have it in our budget. Sorry.
Is there a motion to accept the bid? Brian
I'll make
moves
the
it.
motion.
Cassie seconds.
Paul, okay.
Is there any discussion on it? All right. All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead, Deb.
So I also wanted to let you all know about what happened with the sheriff car mini bid. So last month we had put out a mini bid through the state for the is somebody not on mute? Okay.
Somebody's on the phone that keeps kicking in noise, I guess. I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Can we mute him, Jay? Jay, can we mute him from there?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Sandy. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Deb.
Thank you. So when we sent the bid out through the state mini bid, and it came back and we awarded it, but when we awarded it, they told them that they couldn't fill it because Chevy had capped the orders 4 days after the bid. So we did some research on this, and we're going to have to rebid it because apparently, from what we understand, there's a semiconductor chip that runs the computers, and they can't get them to make the cars. So there's just a shortage of the cars. That's what we're being told. So I just wanted to let you know that we bid it, we awarded it, we were told we couldn't get it, so we're gonna have to go through that process again, hopefully in May or June from what we're hearing, but we're not sure. So,
Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Don't see any.
the next thing was the grant carryover, but I had not talked to Al on this, and we're gonna wait and do that next month in case we get some more bills come in from last year. So if you're all okay with that, we're gonna just do that next month. Then we have, anybody opposed?
No.
And then we had a question about our uniform contract, but I talked to Sue in purchasing, and she had she said that if it's under our purchasing policy, which it is, then we only have to send it out for quotes. So our total is for the county wide, including sewer, DPW, and buildings and grounds, is less than our procurement policy. So we don't really have to address anything. So we can check that one off too. I'm just going to send that out for bid or out for quotes. All right, so now we're on staffing. I would like to request permission to backfill a vacant highway worker 2.
Okay. Is there a motion to send that to personnel? All right. Motion by Daryl, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thanks. The next one is a request to backfill our seasonal positions. We won't be doing that right now, but if we could get the process going and have permission to request or permission to hire them, we can start looking through and finding our summer help. There's 12 of them, and it'll be after April 15th that we would actually hire them. So request for permission to do that.
Yeah,
Move it.
motion.
Motion by Daryl, second by Cassie. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So next, I would like you to consider allowing for some restructuring in DPW. I feel that the addition of an administrative assistant will greatly improve the efficiency of our department, especially me. And there are changes coming to the engineering department through retirement. And part of my intention is to have someone to act in my absence. So I'd like you to also consider the formation of a public works manager. In lieu of the deputy, these structural changes will encompass the duties of that position and make our department more efficient. And the position of general foreman is anticipated to be vacated and not backfilled. I'm working with personnel on these titles and grades, but I didn't want to spend too much time until I had permission to do something like this. So is this something that you guys would be willing to consider?
Yeah, Deb, is this going to be budget neutral, or do you know that yet?
I haven't worked through all the numbers yet. As you remember, probably I didn't put the deputy in the budget this year in hopes that if something transpired, we would be able to entertain it. But we do have a retirement that's going to help us. But I haven't really worked up the numbers. I was hoping I could have those for personnel if you were interested in doing it, or if you wanted me to work up the numbers first and bring it back to committee, I could do that too.
Brian?
So I like where Deb's going here. We've had a few conversations on this. And to answer Daryl's question, I think in this year, there probably will be enough breakage, so it probably will be budget neutral. It's just some's paid for on the general fund side, some's paid out of the county road. So overall budget is probably neutral. That's probably not a problem. But I think where the gain is the difference probably between having this one person added and the one person upgraded to a different position, it's probably a difference between 80,000 for a deputy and 50,000 for this other change. So there's probably a savings of 30,000 going forward, but it's probably around 50,000 in new money. So I don't know the exact numbers yet because we haven't worked through it, but I think that's where we're at. But I think the way she's trying to structure it just makes a lot of sense for all the new people and all the changes we've had. I think we're on the right track here. And it's nice to let the department head put in place what they think works best for them because, we're all different. And I saw it with, this is a change that I saw that Kevin Hayes wanted, then Chris DeBolt wanted, and I don't know where Melissa is on this because her and I haven't actually discussed this, but every time we've had a change at DPW, it's been something different, but I think in the grand scheme of things, this is probably where everybody's wanted it to go all along, and I think we're going to be in a really good place here, so I'm quite enthused about this one.
Matt?
All right, so I'll push back a little bit. I'm not opposed to the idea, Deb, but two things. I'd like to see it on paper, to look at the structure of the DPW department and see exactly what you're doing, and then get the numbers to say, here's the net change. And of course, we're trying to hold as best we can to staffing pattern changes working through the budget process rather than doing it outside the budget process. So even though I'm not opposed to the idea of investigating it, I don't want to jump into it too quickly right now. I think we need more information. And could you guys bring it back to the next DPW meeting with a real? I like to see things on paper.
And I think you've kind of hit where Deb was going and kind of where I want to go too, except she had mentioned bringing it to personnel, all those things, and I think that might be the right way to do it because paving season's coming, and you'd like to have those people in place when you actually get into the meat of the work this spring. So if she's willing to bring that all to personnel and then bring it to finance, we get to see it twice more. I guess I would like to do it that way.
I push back on the process because I think it should start here.
Well, but she did start it here.
But I don't have anything. I don't have anything to look at. I want to know the structure. I want to know the staffing pattern. I want to know dollars and cents. I want to know when's this retirement. I want to know what the net effect is. I don't have any of that, and you're bypassing all that by shipping it right to personnel next week. That's just my pushback. If everybody's on board with it, it's fine. The process is important to me, that's all. I'm not opposed to the idea, it's just that we got to do the process right.
So I guess I'll leave that up to the chairman of this committee because I thought that we were doing it kind of the process way by bringing it here and then getting into more detail as we go.
We're bringing the theory here, we're not bringing the details here.
Let's get some more input from the committee here. They all have input, see what their thoughts are. Al?
Mr. Hicks, would it be beneficial for you to see budgeted 2021, anticipated 2021, and projected 2022? Does that kind of paint the picture?
Well, that's part of the equation.
Okay.
That's the number part of the equation, but there's still a staffing pattern part of the equation too.
Well, I would do it by positions. You would see the whole staffing pattern with dollars attached to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, Dan?
Yeah, I agree with Matt that the process needs to start here, but I also agree that I'm not opposed to it, but I think you have to, once you develop the plan, bring it back here and see if we're on board with it and get a better understanding at this committee before you forward it. But another point that I'm concerned about, and it is about the breakage and its sufficient funding. We used to previously, years ago, when you added a position, you added the funding either out of fund balance or from wherever. Because we keep talking about this breakage, we've always budgeted, even before me, Brian always budgeted also. We had $1 million worth of breakage every year. And that was our fund balance that we've carried forward and used in next year's budget. Al can attest to that too. And we're eating this breakage up, and we won't have that $1 million of fund balance. And I think that we've done it here a couple times already this year, but if we add a position or change a position and there's a cost, you budget the cost now, and then the breakage just is carried forward into the fund balance for next year. It gives you a truer picture of what's going on and the amount of money that we're spending. That really concerns me.
I'll let Brian go first, Cassie.
Yeah.
Probably wants to answer.
Dan, we're just mixing metaphors a little bit here. So the way the county road is paid for is out of the general fund, interfund transfer. So any money that is saved as breakage in county road stays in county road. That's not breakage that we consider in general fund. That's a different set of breakage. So as far as the position, the foreman moving up to whatever name Deb gave it, that would be the same money. So that, and the money from that breakage of the engineer would be the same money. That would be totally separate from the breakage we talk in general fund. So really the only breakage we're referring to, and we could take that away from the general fund breakage because we could pull back a certain amount of money from interfund transfer and move that directly to that line that would pay for the person in her office. And this is where Matt is right, that by seeing that all on paper, you'll get a better understanding of that. But this really doesn't refer to breakage in the sense we talk about it when we talk at budget time in the general fund, because it's through interfund transfer. So they're really a little bit different. You're on the right track, but it doesn't include that million that we usually talk about. This would be money that would stay in fund balance in county road. So this is a little different item.
Cassie?
So just to circle back and kind of wrap it up, is I think last year when in the 2020 budget, there was a deputy position. Deb dropped it off for the 2021 budget with the idea that it could be revisited. And I believe that one of the reasons there isn't so much detail on the money was because she just asked if it was okay, she could proceed with it. I don't think we have to go in all the weeds today. It's either a yes, bring us more information, or a no, we don't want to do it at all before she gathers all the work. I don't think we need to find fault with what hasn't been done. I think it's a request to move forward with the concept.
John Rozelle? You got to unmute, John. You've got to unmute, John.
I'm trying. Are we just shifting around workers, or are they going to be new hires? And I do agree with Matt on this one, bring everything in front of us.
So the administrative assistant would be a new hire. And I was hoping to put that administrative assistant at a grade 13 for $46,290.96. Then the Public Works manager was where I had to work on it a little bit more, because I wanted to, because of the changes that are happening in the department, I wanted to have the general foreman move into that position and not backfill the general foreman. So that would just be the difference in the grade change that I haven't worked through with personnel. So when you say you want me to bring more information, do you want, what do you want more than that?
I think, Deb, and I'm kind of with Matt a little bit, this committee is responsible for making sure you're able to operate and function good. So I think we need to see, what we need to see is that top layer that you're shuffling a little, and what the responsibilities of those people will be, and what the changes in the wages will be on that. Is that kind of what you were thinking, Matt?
Yeah, so we get a lay of the land.
Yeah, so we know in your mind how you're changing a little bit the responsibilities, and who will be stepping up, you know, if you're not there, and who will be doing on that top layer that you're changing just a little bit.
Okay, so do you want to know what the administrative assistant is going to be doing and what the Public Works manager is going to be doing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the person that in the spot you're eliminating, what they did and who's taking care of that.
Okay, so so the administrative assistant, you don't, if I give you that information now, can we move forward with that, or you guys want the whole thing together?
I think it kind of sounds like everybody wants you to move forward with doing all the information. I don't think anybody's against it, but I just think they wanted to see how the package was, the whole thing was coming together. Unless somebody
Okay.
speaks up, says something different here.
All right, I thought that I got approval to do this here and the concept here, and then went to, oh, sorry.
Okay, now Dana, I guess, is trying to get on. Are you there, Dana?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm doing this with my phone. I think we would like to see job descriptions for these new titles. To me, it's a little bit loose the way you're attempting to do it in this committee and then send it over to personnel. I'd like to see more information in this committee. I'd like to see job descriptions. Also, the administrative assistant, this is not really breakage because the deputy position that's not filled is not in the 2021 budget, is it? It has not been funded, so it's not really breakage for that.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so where's the breakage coming from?
One of the senior engineer is going to be retiring this year, so, but I didn't work out all the exact values because I didn't want to spend a lot of time on all these exact numbers until I had permission to go forward with it. I didn't want you guys to say, no, you can't do that, and then have spent all the time on it, so.
But Deb, in the future, aren't you going to want to backfill that position? So there really is no breakage.
Not next year, there won't be. Yes, I will want to backfill that position eventually. Yep. But that one will be
All right.
that's where part of this all stems from. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the engineering department yet, whether we're going to fill that position or we're going to fill a lower position.
Okay, so we are looking at a true net gain of employees.
One, yes.
One.
Okay, thank you.
Brian.
Yeah, and just to add to that, this is an overall view of her whole upper tier in both sections, her section and the engineer section. So I think overall you'll like the picture is the way I've started to get some. I don't have any of the complete details either, and I think this is the start. I think this is kind of what Deb was really looking for out of this, and I'm glad everyone's buying into the way the committee system would work because that's important that we all understand this. And if we want to bring numbers later, that's fine. It just puts us off another month, but that's okay. We can work around that, and unless somebody else is in a hurry, more so than Deb.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
I have one more comment. This is Dana Hack.
Go ahead, Dana.
I could see if Deb came here to see if this was a non-starter, so she wouldn't go any farther. But it sounds like you kind of want to, go past go, collect $200 right now, $200. I think we're not saying it's a non-starter, but we need more information in this committee.
So, Melissa?
So Danielle and I have both had conversations with Deb over the last couple of weeks regarding this. And Deb, I'd be happy to sit down with you some more if you want, and we'll come up with what I think they're looking for. I think I have a pretty clear understanding of what that is. And we can get that for the next committee meeting if that's what everyone would like.
Okay.
That sounds like what everybody wants. They want you to go forward and lay the plan out so we have it to look at next meeting.
All right. So the next up is the highway barn project update. So some of you went on tour with us with the barns, and now I guess I have to work with both Fort Ann and Easton and see how you want to proceed. You know, what you guys need to know before we hire somebody to come up with values. Is that correct? Is that what the committee wants us to do? Okay, good.
Any comment, Dan? Matt?
Well, I thought we were waiting for Matt Jones to send that RFP out.
To see what the number
To
was
see
gonna
what
be.
the price is gonna be, to do the planning study, that if we were gonna share with those two towns, what the cost is, and then we would decide how that cost would be split. That's the next logical step. I don't think we're opposed to moving forward on it, but we just need to get that information first.
We're still waiting on that number as far as I know.
And that, I'm not even sure that RFP's been sent out yet, has it? It wasn't as of government ops.
Well, we're kind of in a catch-22 because do you send that, you have to know if it, so we have to know if the towns are interested in going that way, which I assume they are, correct? So then we're just going to send out for that now? For the RFP, for the cost of the RFP, or we're going to send out and have the RFP do the work?
We're up to the cost of the RFP first to make sure that Dan and Sam are both on board with their towns. If their towns aren't on board, then the RFP will be all about what the county needs, not about what Townsend County needs. I guess that would change the RFP.
Kathy?
I guess I understand what Deb's trying to say, because are they going to go out there and make a proposal for a 3-bay county barn, or are they going to make a proposal for an 11-bay barn in Middle Falls because you need whatever 8 for Easton? And I would think there is a little bit different planning in that. So it is, which way do you go first? The same with Fort Ann. If they spend the money on an RFP to say how much it's going to be, and you have no idea, you could be talking about 2 completely different sized buildings with different needs.
Sam, you had a comment?
I did. Fort Ann is interested in it, but I think one of the things that we need to take to our town board, or I need to take to our town board, is what the actual cost is going to be for the initial startup. You know, not the building itself, but so much to do the study. And then once I have a number I can give them, I think we can move it with no trouble. But I think they're looking for some guidance as to, okay, what's it going to cost for the RFP when that comes in to do the engineer portion of it. And then we can decide, you know, if we have an estimate of what that's going to be. Is it going to be split 2 ways? Is it going to be split proportionally? Is it going to be split 3 ways? I mean, those are things that we need so that we can intelligent to our board.
Okay.
Dave?
Well, you're asking for the cost of the RFP. And what you're really looking for is what's the cost of the planning to do that. And wouldn't you go out and say, I want an RFP to do with just the county needs, and then a sister with what the cost do with everyone would be? I mean, it doesn't make sense. How do you make a decision on, the towns make a decision on whether they want to participate in it unless you know what the true cost of the planning would be?
Matt?
Well, right, so the RFP would go out, and the number would come back. I'm throwing a crazy number out there. It was $30,000 to do a planning study to see if the 2 barns would work with the 2 towns.
Correct.
Then we go to the 2 towns and say, you will pay X, you will pay X, and we will pay Y. Are we good with this? And if we're all good with this, then we hire that company and do the planning study.
Correct.
Then it's all covered. Then we talk about the next step, but we don't talk about the next step till this step gets done. If it costs the 2 towns X and they both balk at it, we haven't spent any money yet. We go back and say, we've changed now the RFP, we want to do just the county buildings. We're fine. I think the next step, Deb, is we have to get this RFP back and then present it to the towns and to the county to make sure we're all on board that we're going to cover these costs by making this happen. It's the first buy-in on proceeding on this. It's a whole series of steps. At least that's the way I read it.
But wasn't Matt Jones there? He just had sent the RFP. We were there with what we wanted, right?
I thought through government ops, the next step was Matt Jones was going to send the RFP out and then bring it back to government ops, the information we needed to move forward. I don't know where in that process.
That's where I think we're at too. Unless there's a misunderstanding or any other board members feel something different, that's where I thought we were at.
Yep.
Sam?
Yeah, that's where I think we're at too. That's what we're looking for the thing, the RFP to come back in so we can talk about it. and see what it's gonna cost dollars and cents wise. Is it gonna be split 2 ways, 3 ways, 1 way? How are we gonna do that?
Dan?
Yeah, I agree with Sam and Matt that we've got to start with this number of study, but there's a lot of answers that's got to be found as far as where the location's going to be. When they did Middle Falls visitation, it wasn't clear whether it was going to be on site or if they were going to move it to a location on our property, and all that will be part of determining our costs once you get to that. But I think you need to come up with what the cost is. We had a board meeting last night and I talked to the town board. Everybody's still very interested, but everybody kind of wants to know the cost of the town to enter into this program as far as the study goes and coming up with the answers that we're all looking for.
Dave?
Isn't that part of the planning study? We say, here's the sites, and they took a look at sites, wouldn't it be part of the planning study, where they go to? Yeah, then we won't have cost, until such time to get that planning study done, our planning study bid out to figure out what that cost is gonna be. Until we get to that point, we can't tell the town how much it's gonna cost for the planning study.
I'm agreeing with you, Dave. I
Okay.
thought that I made that clear.
Brian?
Yeah, I think Deb just needs to talk to Matt and make sure that's going out, because I think that's already in process. I thought that's how we left government ops, so.
Did somebody else have their hand raised that I missed?
All right, so we're working on a scope of work to put that out right now. Matt's here.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
All right, so the last thing I have is to award the Church Street Bridge construction. If I can find it, okay. So last Friday, bids went out for the construction, the replacement of the Church Street Bridge in Granville, and there were 4 bidders. The low bidder is James H. Malloy, and for $3,132,000 even.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yes, under budget.
Motion to accept the bid. Cassie makes the motion.
Again,
Daryl seconds it. Matt doesn't say anything.
Isn't that way under budget? Like, did
Yeah.
we budget like 4.5 or something?
Al's
Yeah,
giving
it's-
thumbs up.
Holy
So.
crap.
We got
It'll only
very
be one lane
competitive
though, Matt.
bids.
And tractor trailers can't cross it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments? All in favor of accepting the bid, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Okay. Got that
That's
done,
all,
Deb.
that's all I got.
Anybody else have any questions for Deb before we get done today? Boy, it's gotta be one of the short ones, not like when Cassie used to run them.
We had more issues back then.
There's motion to adjourn. Brian moves, second by Cassie. Okay, thank you, everybody.
So.
Have a nice day.